All right, Katie Tur, following the Trump campaign as ever. Thanks so much. We have got brand new jobs numbers out today. According to the Labor Department, the U.S. economy added 255,000 jobs in July. Those numbers crushed analysts' expectations of about 180,000 new jobs. The unemployment rate held steady at 4.9%. It is the perfect day to welcome Curtis Ellis. He's trade advisor and economic advisor to the Trump campaign and executive director of the American Jobs Alliance. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Let's talk about those jobs numbers straight off the top here, because 255,000 jobs added in July. So far in 2016, we've had average growth of 186,000 jobs a month. Unemployment steady. My colleague, you probably know Phil LeBeau over at CNBC, said that he's been talking to people all day, and almost everybody he's talked to says it's hard to find anything bad in this jobs report. I'm going to guess you can find something bad in that.
I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but look, we've seen job growth of GDP growth of 1% this year. And you have to look below the top line number of that 217,000 private sector jobs. If you look below and see what kind of jobs were created, because not all jobs are created equal, we see mostly low pay, low wage jobs that you really can't support a family on and don't support a middle class.
What the argument is from the other side, and I'd like to play some sound from earlier from Hillary Clinton, because she's defending the Obama administration, saying it's better than it could have been, essentially. Here's her sound from earlier.
I think if you fairly look at the record, you have to conclude that his leadership saved us from a Great Depression. So as bad as things became, 9 million jobs lost, 5 million homes lost, $13 trillion in family wealth wiped out. As bad as it was, there's no telling how far down we would have gone without his leadership.
So that's the Democrats' argument, that it would have been worse. If it's only 1%, at least we're finally recovering.
Well, look, we still have 15.5 million people unemployed, 102 million Americans out of the workforce or unemployed. All of the better paying jobs have been outsourced. They've been offshored. This is a direct result of the Clintons' policies, going back to NAFTA and the open door policy with China. And as a result, we are left with mostly low wage service jobs. For example, in this number that you put out there, 45,000 jobs in bars and restaurants, 14,000 jobs in retailers. We lost 3,000 jobs making computers. There were only 9,000 jobs total created in manufacturing, which was always the ticket to the middle class. And as for those jobs that the Clintons said would be those new economy information age jobs waiting for us on the other end of the bridge to the 21st century, zero were created in July.
We have a new poll out last night, NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, that actually has some great news in it for Donald Trump. It shows that people trust him on the economy. When you look at the economy, 46% say that Trump is who would be better dealing with the economy. 42% say Clinton. What specifically will Donald Trump do to earn that trust, to continue to get that trust?
He's going to put out a plan on Monday. He's giving a speech on economic policy at the Detroit Economic Club. And his policy is Americanism versus globalism. It's the globalist policies which have ripped good-paying jobs out of this country, destroyed communities, and led to this situation where we don't have jobs.
What does that mean exactly? I mean, if you can give us a little bit of a preview of Monday's speech, concretely, what are Americans going to see in a Trump administration that they don't see right now?
We're going to overhaul the tax and regulatory policy and the trade policies to make America the best place on earth to do business. And we're going to see what we saw after World War II, widespread, broad-based prosperity.
And let me just ask about one other thing. Hillary Clinton has a new ad out this week. I'm sure you've seen it. You're Trump's trade advisor. She's talking about trade and talking about concretely where Donald Trump, on a personal level, produces his, manufactures his items that he sells. Take a look at the ad, and I'll ask you about it.
As a line of clothing. Now, where were these made?
These were made, I don't know where they were made, but they were made someplace. But they're great. It's ties, shirts, cufflinks, everything sold at Macy's, and they're doing great.
Where are the shirts made? Bangladesh.
What is good? We employ people in Bangladesh.
Ties? Where are the ties made?
Have to work
These are
too.
Beautiful ties.
They are great ties.
The ties are made in where? China? China. Ties are made in China.
So clearly their point is the Trump campaign talks about bringing jobs back to America, but he's outsourcing his own business.
Well, what happens is if you deal with Walmart or Toys R Us in the toy industry, any of these large retailers, they give you a price. And they say you have to produce goods at this price or we won't distribute them. And then you're forced to go offshore. You're forced to produce overseas. We've heard this from case after case, industry after industry, manufacturer after manufacturer. These big box retailers come to them and basically tell them, we'll hook you up with a manufacturer offshore, otherwise we're not going to do business with you.
And he'll change that somehow?
That has to end.
How does that end?
Well, we have to put America first. We have to give American people jobs. We have to bring these industries back.
But how do you convince Toys R Us to start buying from U.S. manufacturers instead of from overseas?
Well, there are a myriad of ways that can be done. Through changing tax policies, through changing trade policies, and through changing regulatory policies.
Nice to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it very much. Curtis Ellis with the Trump campaign.